Hi everybody, welcome back to the Our Smiling Faces podcast. This is the happiest I'm going to be during this podcast. Jesus Christ.
It's all going to go rapidly downhill from here.
So, before we get started, while I've still got a smile on my face, thanks to Guillermo Clothing, thanks to GEORDIE Gifts for once again sponsoring the podcast for the season. You do get discounts if you use the codes which are in the description below. Mark's currently wearing a Guillermo t-shirt. Badly.
Available and as modelled in GQ and Men's Fitness.
And Giacomo. I couldn't know it.
You want to watch your lip with them 7 chins that you've got on display tonight.
I know, I've had a shave, so like...
I would have to work just go around like...
You should have seen him on Saturday.
Oh, you should have.
I know, I seen a picture of you and I thought, well, there's no there, like...
Wrong God.
I thought he had the mumps.
Yeah. Wrong God, aye.
It looks alright though, no cleaner.
It does now. He doesn't look homeless now.
So we're here for your...
You look very good in it, Mark.
Thanks.
Reaction to the Leicester. No, we're not. Reaction to the Brighton game.
Well, he's just wanting a guy, you know. Like.
He's just insulting us from the table now.
Yeah,
I'll get you back for the Deka versus Mark. So, where do we get started with this?
Let's just end it. Thanks for watching, Tara.
Where do we get started? Let's
we'll start the lineup.
Actually, we'll start where we ended the preview.
Right.
If
we're all full of blind confidence, aren't we?
So we're all predicted a Newcastle win. Different scorelines, but we're all predicted a win. We'd do most weeks, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But then we also said we need a good performance. We got neither.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Fair.
So we also said starting lineup. We were hoping to see Kraft go out with the starting 11.
Yeah.
And see Mankiewicz.
Well, I was still surprised it happened late, to be fair, but I
think it was due.
I was pleased.
I think it was due. I wasn't shocked to see it happen, and I kind of expected it.
I don't think you would have done any worse than Mankiewicz, like on the day. To be honest, but in hindsight, I banged the drum all last week that I wanted Kraft out the team, and Bruce delivered on that one, and that's the only thing he delivered on. Positive news going into it though was Saint was fit and Carroll were fit, which we didn't know at the time when we were
Yes, so a lot of people said this was a huge PR stunt by the club to get those players on the bench. So Andy Carroll being included in the squad was just to sell tickets. That's not how this works, right?
To be fair, I was.
But then the fans didn't care anymore though.
I quite thought that as well. Like in all honesty.
Oh, you thought
that they were saying.
There's the door.
I expected them to be in the 23, the squad for the game, but not actually make the bench.
So they did make the bench. They actually made the field. So can we put that to bed?
It did, yeah.
It wasn't a PR stunt?
No.
I need to ask this again. Sorry, what? So you thought they were in the squad but wouldn't make the bench?
Yes. Well,
what do you mean, like training during the week?
I thought probably Saint had a chance of making the bench, but obviously we discussed last week about Carroll and he was approaching fitness, and I was like, well, there's no point actually risking him. But jumping ahead a bit, to be fair, he looked absolutely fine, which took us by surprise.
I agree. Yeah.
But I did think it was a bit of a stunt to try and encourage people.
I don't see it, because I think if a player is fit and fit enough to be on the bench, then they should be playing games. I don't think you would ever put a player on the bench as a PR stunt or as a way to sell tickets.
Listen.
I don't see it.
So we've signed him for a PR stunt, isn't it? Apparently,
yeah.
Right. So now he's put on the bench. It's a PR stunt. Next time when he starts a game, it'll be a PR stunt.
When he scores, it'll be a PR stunt.
What can he do? So what are you actually going to do then? Like buy a player and then never start him or put him on the bench? Then people will complain, what a waste of fucking time that was. Then you put him on the bench and people say it's a PR stunt anyway. So what chance?
No, I didn't. Not going on to the bench was what obviously proved.
Do you mean the build-up?
Yeah. So in the week, talking about him being in the squad and all of that kind of thing, I was like, well, yeah, he's because he literally only trained. He only trained this week, didn't he?
Were you shocked? Were you shocked on? I think was it Friday? Was it Friday when he said Carroll's in the squad?
Thursday or Friday? Thursday, I think it was. Wasn't it?
Maybe. Well, we did the podcast on Monday.
Friday morning.
Right, Friday morning. So we did it on the Monday, and we never expected him at that point. No. Tuesday, I didn't expect him. Wednesday, I didn't even know his name. No. Thursday, didn't expect him. Friday, whoa, but he's in the team.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there was a talk of like, whoa, Carroll's in the squad. I think it was Friday morning.
Late to sell tickets if that was the case.
Well, that's on a PR stunt.
I think it was Thursday, and it was just.
No, I think it was Friday morning. I think he's done his press conference early Friday morning.
Yeah, then he went for a kebab. Right, anyway, so the team lineup.
Yes.
It is what it is. Kraft was out, which is what we wanted. The midfield, obviously, Longstaff obviously wasn't have been fit.
Yeah, wasn't even on bench.
So you've had to put Shelby in now. Let's be fair, you were there the week before. At that point,
100%. Oh, it was no brainer. Shelby in there. Yeah.
Don't hindsight.
No, Shelby had a half decent performance, but did was sat. Yeah.
So what did you think?
I even said before the Liverpool game I wasn't comfortable with him being in there, but he went on to prove us wrong.
I know what I'm saying is then. So going at the Brighton game,
but I'm still not comfortable of having him in the team. Full stop.
He's 90 minutes gone already, man.
I think you're using hindsight now.
I am not. When have I ever wanted John Joseph?
No, but you're not understanding.
After the performance against Liverpool going in that game, you are happy for him to be in that team.
Yeah, so did you turn up and go, I can't believe Shelby's in the team?
I'm not happy for him to be in the team.
You accept it.
I accept it.
Well, I didn't. He's shit.
Sorry. I accepted it. Let's use the past tense.
Anyway, I'm not kidding actually, but
shall we just get on now?
Let's go.
Shall we just go for it?
Let's go.
Wow.
What's going on?
Have you ever seen anything as bad, as poor as... How many words can you use to describe
John Joe Shelby?
The lack of effort that you saw on Saturday?
Well, you have to say, right, that the lack of organisation, the lack... totally outplayed, completely outthought, outclassed, outpassed, outplayed from... Definitely, I keep saying, first 45 minutes, I don't think I've ever seen a worse 45 minutes from us. Home or away.
So we had this conversation and I disagree. I think Watford in the cup last season was worse.
The worrying thing is,
that's
our strongest 11 at this moment in time.
Pretty much.
Watford wasn't.
Well, based on... Well, it wasn't far off.
I remember the Watford game.
It was awful. It was absolutely
was it 4-0, 3-0?
Horrendous.
3-4-0 we got beat.
Absolutely
it was bad.
horrendous.
It was
Did
bad.
we have more than 20% possession though at half time?
Probably not. It was awful.
I read a stat, right, that Watford will get 5-0 down after 20 minutes, had more possession.
They did.
What
then,
the hell?
Can you not flip that over and think that
what
means
did that
nothing,
possession do then?
No, but what I'm trying to say is...
The possession that they had was picking the ball out the back of the net and taking it back to the... Because if you look at it, I can't remember which player it was, but one of their players, when you looked at their heat map of touches, like there was like a massive heat map of him just in the centre circle, because he took the kick off every time.
But how bad does it fit? So when we're getting beat 5-0 after 20 minutes, and they had more possession than we had. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. However, man, that shows you how pathetic that performance was that first half.
Well, hold on. Let's just rewind 12 months. Were we worried about possession under Rafa?
All the time. I never sat here and said I'm happy to park the bus against anyone, especially when it's Brighton at home. For Christ's sake.
Since we
made Brighton look like Barcelona, man.
We beat Manchester City last season.
Oh.
We didn't have much possession.
City. What about Brighton, man?
But this
what about Brighton?
But people can use this possession figure for
right. So we'll knock the drum on possession. So tell us. So by the sounds of it, you're quite happy with the first half then?
No, I didn't say that at all. But
why were you not happy then? Because we didn't have the fucking ball.
Possession's isn't one of the key. It's not. The possession wasn't the problem.
Well, I thought not having the ball was a huge issue, in my opinion. Like, if that's 34, not having the ball.
The problem was they were just... When they had the ball, they were a lot more dangerous with it, and the way that
not having the ball's a problem.
Well, it's a bit of an issue, like, I'm sorry, but it is.
But it's not. It's not a problem if, when you have the ball, you use it well.
That was the worrying thing. And it didn't have the ball.
We didn't have the ball. That's what I'm trying to say. We're dreadful,
20% or 30%.
Now, what I do want to ask you, what I did want to say is, now, was it because we were just utter garbage, or do you think Brighton deserve any credit?
Both.
I have to agree. I think Brighton were bloody good.
Brighton turned up with
good.
They were perfect. Everything they did was spot on. Totally if you watch the formation,
they were very, very clever with their position.
It was like watching us last season at times.
I don't know. I've never seen us be that comfortable.
So the time against...
I don't think it was one game. I don't think it was them being comfortable on the ball. It was just the way that they were
given it
kind of positioning. What was very clever from them was, it's what took our midfield out of the game, and got them so many chances. Was their strikers sat between our defence and our midfield. So therefore, nobody would pick them up because it was like, well, as a defender, I can't come out there because then I'm pushing too high. There's a ball going to go in behind. The midfield couldn't drop back and pick them up because they were up against their midfield. So as their midfield was carrying it, that allowed them that space with them in between the two just to knock it and then them run through. The problem is then your midfielders weren't picking them up at all. Any of the runners that were going past them. Shelvey and Hayden were literally yards apart constantly in that first half, and like you've got that entire centre section of the midfield, and the two of them were just together like that, and they were just going past them and past them and past them. The amount of little triangles that were getting played because the runners just weren't getting picked up. The strikers were in that no man's land between the defenders and the midfield, and fair play to them, they had fantastic tactics, and we just didn't know how to adapt and cope with it.
I think you have to give them loads of credit for that.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
They're coming to our place, it's a massive game. We've all said it's a 6 point now, away from home, blah 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 blah, and then played that game on the floor the whole time. Honestly, I was so impressed, honestly I was, and I felt that from the centre half to the goalkeeper to every single player on the ball was perfect. When we got it, it looked like he hadn't even played football before. I'm not trying to be awful here. I've never ever seen a professional footballer in possession as bad as I've seen that on Saturday. Lascelles shitting himself every time he got the ball except one run. We looked shit scared, didn't we? The whole game.
And again, that for me was down to their work rate, because again, when they didn't have the ball, they were harrying, they were putting under pressure, they weren't letting us settle on it, they were closing down. And again, and I always bang on about this, is because Shelvey likes to drop so deep, it then doesn't give you anywhere to pass the ball out from your back five or your back four, as it swapped to after about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that changed. And
at least that change happened quite quickly, because they were massively overrunning us through the middle, because you only had those two in there, and at least
I thought I was the only person in the ground at that stage that agreed with what he did.
Oh, no, 100%.
Because people behind me were going mental. But he put Williams in the middle.
You needed to tighten up that midfield. We'd talked about it in other games of when you come up against the teams where they're going to flood that midfield and create, chances against it. In all honesty, Bruce probably didn't expect Brighton to do it. I certainly didn't expect Brighton to do it, and that's what worked very well for them.
What he did say in the programme notes, he said that a lot of fans will be in for a shock at how different a side they are now compared to last year. They're unrecognisable. Yeah. And I was reading it going, Reece, calm down. And then within 10 minutes, I was like, wow. I literally was... they were taking goal kicks, man. And the Dunk and the other lad were picking up in the 6-yard box. They were that confident on the ball. I'm like, hang on. Imagine if Lascelles went into our 6-yard box, man. He had to brush that.
We'd be like, whoa! We were allowing them to do that because we were sitting again.
It's hard
to
I know, but then I have to agree with what Bruce said in the after one. I totally agree. 20 minutes in, that's exactly what we were sitting so deep in. They were just flooding through it. Then we decided to try and press them a bit. Really go out. And Shelvey was starting to move further forward. They were through it even faster when we did that. Literally 2 passes and they were in. And I could not believe that we weren't about 2 or 3 down. I could not believe it.
Couldn't believe it. That was the only kind of saving grace from that first half performance was, and it's the problems that they've had all season. We talked about it last week in the preview. Is they're just not scoring goals.
If them had a decent strike, they're out of sight.
I think it was around about 30 minutes in, and Mark Crosney just went, can't wait for half time, It was one of those from, I would say, 15-20 minutes in. You're thinking, Jesus Christ, blow this whistle and let us get back in it and figure this out.
But
that's unbelievable. Well, 2 amazing chances.
I'm sitting and saying that, but and Bruce even came out and said this after the game. First half, we had 2 very, very good chances.
Unbelievable chances.
So the Joe header.
It's a free header. It's an absolute free header. He comes and meets it from the corner, and how he manages to put it wide from there. And that's the second time he's done it.
I agree.
That's a big one. And then before that, obviously, Almiron broke into the box, and
it was a decent bit of play as well.
It was excellent. Broke through, straight through, nigh on one-on-one with the keeper, and again, he just lacks that, I don't know what it is, composure, confidence, but he just hits it straight at the keeper.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If he just puts it either side of him, it goes
in. Make him work. But he just hit it straight down his throat, which was unbelievable to think how bad we were that first half. We could have went in up 1-up.
Well,
we could have went in,
That is the only, again, with hindsight, is the only saving grace from that is that, yes, they played very, very well. They didn't really trouble with. Obviously, they had a goal ruled off for offside, which
can you remember Hayden's challenge?
Offside for me.
Hayden did a challenge in the 6-yard box. It was a goal. I'm telling you, it was a goal. It was an open goal pretty much, and the lad shot, and Hayden somehow got his foot round and blocked it. It was an unbelievable challenge. What's your thoughts on Hayden?
It was an off game, I would say, for him. But then I think, is that because he was worried about going too far forward? Because then that was just going to leave a bigger gap at the back, and he felt as if he was cemented close to Shelby, thinking, I need to cover here.
I would say he's doing two men's job.
Yeah, 100%. Would you say that? That we had that very conversation.
I'm getting a little concerned, a little bit, that he spends as much time as Scott Parker did on his arse. Instead of reading the game, maybe, everything seems last ditch that he does. Constantly, it's last ditch, oh, it's this challenge. We'll see what happens if he gets a better player alongside him, because obviously Shea's doing two man's running on Saturday for me. No doubt about it. That's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
He was trying to fill that void as best as he could, and he struggled because he's constantly, he doesn't know whether to go to the man that's got the ball or cover the one that's making the run.
Shelby was,
and I think again it was
an empty strip.
That was to do with Brighton's formation as well. If them playing in those lines just in between, making it very, very difficult.
Triangle football, wasn't it? I was watching constantly. They were just moving triangles all over the pitch and just passing around. Where I was like, this is an amazing fluid football. Like,
but this is worrying as us. Where we're coming in and saying, is it a possibility we'll get relegated? Of course it is. But then you always get the argument, there's three worse teams than us. A lot of people will probably put Brighton in that at the start of the season, around that area. Then you look at that, look how they battered us off the park. I know they didn't score, but the football they played just shadowed us, outshined.
I do agree, but I'm going to say, I don't like talking about other teams too much, but Norwich beat Man City on last week, and they got beat off Burnley this week. Premier League is a fucked up league at times, and you're going to get teams that will come and play, and you're like, wow, we'll win the league then. Like, literally, Brighton honestly looked tremendous that first 45. But next week they might get beat off Norwich. It just is what it is. And I'm going to say the same
about us. Since the first game of the season. Sometimes it just clicks.
I totally agree. And I know it looked terrible. And look at us, like, we look... Now, after that game, you walk that ground and think, we're absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
But I said that after Norwich, we beat Spurs the week after. So, it just... I don't know, it just is what it is sometimes. And what I would say, though, it was worrying performance. My God, was it not? That I keep going to that first half. We'll get to the second half. That first half was unacceptable at home against anybody, actually. Anybody, but especially a team like Brighton.
And the fact it takes Hayden to go over to Bruce and says, it's not working.
Well, to be fair, I think he probably knew it wasn't working, but because him and Aggie were constantly in conversation on the touchline, just trying to figure it out. Around what was going on, what was the best way to then set themselves up, because even when we were still playing with five at the back, they were just massively overloading. Like at times they had 5 or 6 just in a line in attack, because the full backs were pushing on. Because we were getting overrun in midfield, that was meaning Atsu and Almiron had to come in narrower as well, which then opened it up for the full backs, which invited them on even more. It was just
my side where I said Williams was just getting torched. And what was the real trouble was starting to happen was Drummond. I know he's a left side of the centre half. He was literally having to come to be a left back. And I was just really losing my mind, to be honest, with Williams. I was like, what on earth are you doing? Like,
there's a couple of times in the second half as well where Drummond had the ball and he's in position and Williams just wasn't making the run. But it was so close together.
Yeah, I know.
And Williams was getting to the halfway line and stopping.
That was even more so second
keep
half.
On going.
Yeah,
we need to start using the wings. We need to start getting out wide.
Nearly every time, in fairness to Williams, when he gets the ball, he's very comfortable on the ball, isn't he? He's very comfortable on the ball, but I definitely think there's a player in there. Well, that Liverpool goal proves it. There's definitely a player in there.
He's not scared to take a couple of touches, is he?
But there's like
close to the box.
I don't know. There's something not good about it.
It was as if he wasn't wanting to do the overlap. He was wanting to get the ball short to him so that he could then run on with it, rather than going into the space and having the ball played through to him.
Is that a kind of like a go and hiding instance where like we're up against it?
Was he more comfortable, like you said, the ball at his feet, so he's got control of it rather than running on?
He's not the fastest in the world. In fairness to that, he's not that quick. But I don't think he's that fast. But the second half, if we're going to get there...
Yeah, straight away. Well, before we get in the second half, this is what worries me about Bruce. If a player is having such a bad performance in that first half, and I think Shelby, he's lucky not to get subbed off a half time.
I couldn't believe he came back out second half.
When we came back out and there was no changes, I thought he's lucky to even get back on this pitch because it was that bad.
Yeah, maybe. I've seen Rafa do that. I've seen where we've been dreadful the first half, and it's a kind of like, right, listen, get out there and you know.
We've also seen Rafa take players off early on as well. Was it Mbemba that he took off really early because Mbemba was having a shock and he took him off? Shelby, he was bad.
He was terrible. He was absolutely shocking.
There's not enough words to describe how bad he was. And
I don't think
it looked lazy. That's what
that is my big problem with it is the amount of times you just watched people go past them and made no attempt whatsoever to get back.
Sulk thing.
And that's what when you've got a team that's full of runners like that coming at you, that is one thing you cannot afford to do, and that's what caused us so much problem. And like you say, Hayden had a poor game, but as you both said there, I think it's because he was basically effectively in there by himself.
Well, we could sit here and say, of course, across the full game, it wasn't a great team performance. But then you've got to dissect it a little bit and think, like so Hayden, the reason he didn't have a decent game was because what he was doing to try and cover what Shelby was supposed to be doing. Then that just follows through the rest of the team, doesn't it? Well, obviously, Hayden not being in a position means someone else has got to drop and that guy's got one player. Absolutely. And we've said this so many years for Newcastle. If one player has a bad game, the rest of the team seems to struggle.
It happens too often. It happens too often.
I think that's what then had the knock-on effect with Almiron and Atsu, who both had probably disappointing games because they were spending more time going backwards and having to pick up their full-backs and try and dig us out of a hole in midfield. Is that we weren't then seeing the best of them going forward, except in glimpses.
Do you know what like... You know, when you watch us, right? I'm going to go way back. Anytime you watch it, right? Every player is always in exactly the same position, isn't it? When we go forward, Almiron will always be on that side. Shelby will always be the quarterback. You know what I mean? It's just so predictable, isn't it? You watch Brighton. Some of their players, man, were like 1 minute left, 1 minute central, 1 minute right, 1 minute. They're so fluid. Everyone's moving. It's almost impossible to pick people up. But every time we go forward, you can close your eyes and I could tell you where people are standing.
How many times did I say to you, look at Moy? He was constantly just stood there in acres of space available for the ball.
He was walking past Shelby.
He was just
walking past him.
It was as if people couldn't see that he was standing there.
I thought it was Shelby. It was like 2 barley ones. thought he was on player.
It's like
I think Almiron did at one point. Jesus Christ!
I couldn't believe it when he got took off because everything went through him.
Yeah, well, no, I agree. I just thought the first half, to go in at 0-0 was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was like we're winning. It was.
But that is a little bit of a saving grace, is that we could have went in 1-2
up. I'll give you that one as well.
Which is madness.
Yeah, people might not agree because it was that bad. People are like, we're shy, blah blah. But yeah, I totally agree.
Those two chances on another day.
It could have been 2-0 up. Could have been. Maybe that would have been.
Second half was slight better performance.
Well, I wouldn't say a slight. I would say it was a significant.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not saying it was good.
I'm being clouded by the last 10 minutes. If I'm being honest, because I don't think it increased a great deal.
I think from the off there was a lot more intensity about.
I watched it again when I got in
and stuff like that. But
Jesus
it still wasn't good enough. Still wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
but. It was a damn sight better than the first half.
Yeah, it was much more organised the second half. They didn't cut through as much.
So rather than really bad, were just bad.
Pretty much.
We're still doing, listen, I have to get on to Almiron. Sat here last week, maybe, or even the week before, and said, listen, he's fine, great, everything's all right, people are complaining. I am worried. After that game, I'm a bit worried.
But he had another fantastic chance in the second half where he did very, very well. He kind of did a little trick and a turn on the halfway line and just flew away, and then gets himself to the edge of the box, and he's got 3 around him, and I can see what he's trying to do, but at that stage of...
Was that the little pissy shot that he had?
Well, he tries to bend it into the far corner from the edge of the box. And that was like, if he hasn't got the confidence to to shoot. He's probably, in his mind, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place of like, I'm desperate to get a goal, but it's not really on for us. I've got to try and do something clever here. Whereas what he actually probably needed to do, and what he would have done last season, is had the awareness to see that there was 3 players steaming in to the left-hand side of him, and a little simple ball across the between the little triangle of defenders that they had would have just there, and one of them's got a tap.
Or you hit that as hard as you can, and if the keeper saves it, he parries it out.
Well, I actually agree with everything you've said.
But he did have 3 defenders right on him.
Well, see, I actually thought when I watched it back, I agree there was 3 defenders there, but really there was one.
There's one directly in front of him.
He's using him as the wall.
There's one directly in front of him, then there's one either side.
I thought just burned past him as well. Just burned past him. Because the guy's stabbing.
If he'd just put his head down and drove at them, he's either going to get through or he's going to get fouled.
That's exactly what I thought.
But again,
how fast he was going as well.
Confidence.
Well, maybe. It was a waste. It was a waste. But so, I'm concerned in a few areas. His work rate I will never question. His work rate, he was getting back there, really working hard for the team. And that's why I don't want to knock him too much. What I am worried about, though, is when he gets the ball, I'm not sure he has an idea what he's doing. And that's what I worry about. I seen the Homer Simpson thing, the head with the monkey, and that's what I'm worried about,
I think his only intention is to get forward. And, I mean, how many times have we talked over the years about players, picking up a ball and saying they're fantastic because you don't know what to do, but that's because they don't know what they're going to do and stuff like that. But
maybe. I just feel...
We mentioned, I think it was a question someone sent in last week on the question and answer, and someone said, who gets dropped? And I think it was you, Mark, said that why would you drop Almiron at this moment in time?
Well, that was saying, well, if St. Maximin should come straight back into the team.
So I think now, performances wise, obviously St. Maximin came on the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
But is he still ready? Is he ready to play a full game?
No, probably not. But then you look at that and think, he's just gave a lot more in that 10 minutes than what we've seen.
He has, but it's easy to come on with 10 minutes to go and just run at people, isn't it?
I don't know. That's Chicken Murphy. What I'm going to...
Sammy Amiobi made a career of it out in Newcastle, didn't he?
Well, another thing I wanted to say was Shea's chance. It's similar to what you said about Almiron, about, he had 3 players there.
Got too greedy.
Shea went on this run.
Yeah.
Cut on, to his left on the edge of the box. I was like, oh my God, Atsu, and that's there. And he went for a shot, which was just absolutely
I think
dreadful.
Atsu was going wild. There's one player on the left was going wild.
Every right to as well. Again, though, going back to the second half, I honestly didn't feel we were that bad. But we were frustrating because our final ball was dreadful. Our final cross was dreadful. Going back to what you mentioned just before, Almiron got the ball, beat a couple of players, turned around and passed him away. Just went, mate, there you go.
He did, he just passed it, he just randomly passed it with a Brighton player. Then he must have, as soon as that left his foot, he must have went, shit. Then he started running.
Hey, give him all the credit in the world, he did run the whole way back. I think he even won the ball back.
And it's probably been that case of what you've just said. He's probably looked up and seen a bald head.
Cue ball.
I got at one point.
The second half wasn't as bad, but the problem with a lot of people that I've spoken to, the first half was just so damn bad.
It was horrendous.
No one can move on from it because it was so bad. Now, probably get to the subs now.
Yeah.
Well, even Joe Linton had a chance even before then as well, didn't he?
Was it the right
where
foot shot?
He had a shot and he just puts it.
Rosehead.
Comfortable into the keeper.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I know which one you mean. Yeah. Shelby also had a dig from about 810 yards out.
No, I
don't understand what that was about. Well, build it up really, really nice, and he got the ball. And went, I'll have a go from you.
But
what?
But why did he do that?
Because
every fuckwit in the stand is shouting, shoot!
Yeah, well, they're a clever bunch of people then,
That's my pet hate.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
So he used to get it from his own box, didn't he?
Yeah, that's my pet hate.
So the substitutions. So Saint and Key came on first. Now, again, lad sitting next to me, lovely guy, don't know him, but he seems canny. I said to him, Key should be on for Shelby. He disagreed, thought Key shite anyway. Within a second, Key come on. It was weird. It was literally as if I'd just really get him on.
You know what it is? Key did more in the 30 seconds that he was on the pitch than Shelby had done in the entire game.
Well,
you couldn't get much worse, though.
I'm going to explain how I think right? In terms of mobility, I reckon Key might be slower than Shelby. Might be. I reckon my mum's definitely faster than Key.
What was he doing? Reversing?
I don't even think he ran. I think he was literally walking. He is slow, him, But Saint came on, changed the fucking game. Changed the game completely. Yeah. Them shit themselves and you noticed the time Key had on the ball just to spray to Manquillo constantly. Yeah. He had loads of time, but what I will say is, in possession, Key is a lot more, what's the word? Like,
he's not wasteful.
He's not wasteful, is he? He's not wasteful. But
even if it's a side pass, he'll happily do it.
Where I thought they had Shelby and totally sorted was, as soon as Shelby got the ball, they just give him a little bit of pressure, and he just lost it every single time. Because Shelby can only play football if he's got 10 minutes on the ball, untouched. So, but Key was doing very well at starting them.
And again, Key was a good 15, 20 yards higher up the pitch.
But I think he was because of St. Maxim. I really believe when he came on, honest to God, man, he was class.
That's the difference, is because then you've then got him putting the pressure on their defence, which changes the.
So what a corner at one point. And St. Maxim was straight to the fans, trying to hype the fans. It wasn't.
No, it was Key. Key came over to take the corner.
St. Maxim was screaming first, then Key goes and does the same.
When that kind of happened was when, we'll get to it now, Shea's overhead clearance off the line. I mean, Jesus, how has he done that? That's a goal.
It's not the first time.
Yeah.
Were you at that point waiting for the ref just to go? It was him waiting for his watch to go.
Yeah, the two times that happened. One was the Gibraltar
I just remember they got a penalty shout as well.
I thought it was a pen from where I'm sitting, but
at the time I'm looking straight at it and that's never a penalty.
Well, the other side, when I seen him going down, I went, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I did as well.
And I'm
we're sat there, we're looking at the same thing.
I'm at least 4 miles away from that incident, but when
we're even further back.
When he goes
but we were in a direct.
I was sat waiting. We're all sat waiting. The ground went.
Did you not go, oh, because I did. I was like, oh, no. Like, I did, honestly.
Because I think the way, for me, it was the fact that the ball went away. It was clear to me that it'd been taken and then he went over.
Let's be honest, though, we're all
sat there thinking, when he's standing there like that, and he's like that, you're like, oh, hold on. And obviously we can't see
I was worried.
The telly up in the side, but...
Then obviously the goal happens. He clears
fantastic clearance, absolutely fantastic,
unbelievable, man. Like,
and then to turn that from defence into
attack. Does probably the worst clearance you'll ever see in football. Just after that,
but wins it back.
But when it gets to him, man, oh God,
he wins it back and then just gives it to Maxim just inside one.
So the linesman, Jesus Christ, I thought he was having a fit at one point. It's like there was his flag like that, trying to get a free kick. So it was a foul, but the referees. He waits, he plays on. St. Maxim shrugs him off. He's just like, ta-ra, sees later.
Burns the next one.
He burns him. Next one, drop a shoulder, gone. And like you're thinking, everyone's like this, getting higher and higher up the seat. Like, we're going to score, we're going to score.
Pants off me.
Was that not the Joe? That was the Joe.
So it was the Joe Linton. Yeah, it was Joe Linton.
That's when they got the corner, you see, and then St. Maxim was over to Joe. Now Joe Linton there. I mean, you know what it is, right? I'm going to have to. I felt really sorry for him the whole game that he never won a header. Not one header, I didn't count winning one header.
But
we're playing balls that are 3 foot higher.
Why do you pump the ball constantly up to him when you're playing against them too at the back?
Dunk's a beast, isn't he? And I fell for him because it was nowhere near him. It's loads of long balls, and then he gets that chance where I thought, right, you're in, it's 1 against 1. Let's sort him out. Let's do it. And it was absolutely terrible.
Block, wasn't it?
It was awful, wasn't it? He did a step over. I almost sent him backwards. Literally, he did it, and he almost broke all his own momentum. It was just really poor. But again, the introduction of St. Maxim really, really helped everybody, I think. We got the corner, and then obviously the introduction of Carroll came very soon after that, which was tremendous.
What did you think of that substitution?
Incredibly brave, I thought, personally.
Was it Willems that went off?
He went 4 front.
Well, originally, as he went to come on, Hayden went over and I went, Hayden's going off, and we're like, fucking hell, that's brave. And then he came back, and I was like, oh no, because I'm 100% expecting Joe Linton's number to go and Carroll to come on. So when Hayden goes on, I was like, oh, bloody hell, that's 4-4-2, 4-4-2. And then he went back on, I went, oh no, he's just been talking to him, Joe Linton's getting off. Willems goes off, I'm like, we're fucking out again 4-4-2.
I'm not going to lie, I was really excited by it. I thought them two up front were the two wide men. That's what I want to see.
It was just
to be honest.
So surreal. But I turned him and I went,
surprising.
That's fucking Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll is on the pitch.
I will be honest, when I seen, obviously I was buzzing Carroll was coming on. I love Andy Carroll, I really do, I love him. I was thinking, even for Bruce's sake in a way, I know a lot of people hate him, but I was like, I really hope we don't lose now. Because obviously that substitution was
He's gone brave,
He's gone brave there, like, and I thought, you know.
Like the buzz around the place. You know, people have been saying bits and pieces about the atmosphere in the last few games and stuff like that. I think on Saturday, even though we were shit, it was actually a decent atmosphere. Like there was plenty of singing and stuff like that throughout. And then
Considering how bad the first half was, it wasn't that bad.
No,
we didn't touch the ball.
Do you know what I mean? But there was still plenty of, like, obviously, like, we're sat in the Gallowgate in the corner.
Obviously,
so,
the corner, you're always going to get
noise.
noise.
It is noisy, so I don't know what it was like the rest of the ground, but for me, it seemed like that there was a good atmosphere and there was lots of singing and noise.
I had 3 seats to themselves, all of them.
Yeah, true, right. One guy was lying down. But when Carroll came on, though, he's a man possessed, isn't he?
Well,
he's a man possessed to get
even him just getting off the bench and going up and down the touchline for his warm up was got a buzz going around the place, and
it was midnight.
Like again, watching him, I was like, he was warming up for about 40 minutes of like he is desperate.
Yeah, him and Saint was warming up, like I was thinking. God,
well, that's it. But then people are like, again, shouting for them to come on and stuff like that, and it was like 50 minutes of like, there's not a chance in hell they are going to come on that early because they're going to be blown out the arse. They'll be on for the last 10-15 minutes, which is what happened.
Again, I know Carroll come on, and obviously that was brilliant. Well, I went forefront almost. It felt like, because my men was so high up the field. Saint had him on toast, man. Every time he got, do you know what I love about him, right? He's like a bit like a Townsend that. He gets that ball, he's just so direct. No matter if he's got doesn't care.
Just straight on.
There's 40 people to beat, that's got through all his. That's a way. And I love him for that. I mean, he got to the byline 3 times within a heartbeat. He was just in, and he crossed it. Yeah, nothing happened. Right, fair enough. The keeper got it one time, but
there's a couple of times where he lost the ball as well. But I don't care.
I didn't
keep on doing it.
I'm not bothered.
And that's obviously the argument that we heard before he signed was around that lack of creating anything. He's exciting and all that kind of thing, getting forward, but
if he's pumping the byline like that all the time, I'm telling you,
it's got to come off more,
absolutely
more times than not.
I didn't see we hit the byline in the entire game until he come on. I'm not saying we have to get the byline to be good. I don't mean that. What I'm saying though is, literally getting them on the back foot, committing their players. That fullback could not get near him. He was just not a pass gone. He's so fast. It's unreal.
And then obviously Brighton, then they made a couple of substitutions as well at the same time to counteract what we were doing, and they brought on a couple of nippy players up front, obviously on the hope to hit us on the break because they knew we were going to be bombing on. And
there was one point where Andy Carroll was in our own box.
Andy Carroll went back to central defence, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. The corner, I think, our free kick.
Then we hit them on the counter attack. Then you could tell just how unfit he was because he was literally walking up to the other side of the pitch.
I think the most frustrating thing of all of it when he come on was we couldn't get that ball in the box from good areas. We had good opportunities as well.
A couple of decent chances as well. But once again, the defenders who he was up against, it's bread and butter for them.
It's their game, isn't it? That's what they...
I don't know. I don't care who you're playing against. Carroll...
Physicality.
If you can put a decent ball in, he'll win it. Like I think I was against. But the problem was that Key's delivery on free kicks was absolutely atrocious, man.
So the corner that we got...
The corner, I think that won the header.
Almost the last kick of the game was a corner to us. And we're like, this is it. Like, this is basically the last chance. And it was just came to nothing once again. And
we got a free kick earlier. St. Maximin got wiped out by Dunk. Dunk obviously got pissed off that this kid's just running rings around with, and he wiped him. And I actually thought he was hurt. I thought, Jesus Christ.
Was that what Key just lifted it in?
Wasn't
and Key had a long time to prepare because Max took a while to get up and had ages to wait. And he just lofted one and right at the back post. No one hardly even there.
Yeah.
I think you've had all that time to prepare and it's just really annoyed as that, But listen, you can see just even by us talking that we're a lot more energised by the second half than we were the first. First was the worst in football history as far as I'm concerned. For a home side against anyone.
It can't get much worse than that.
Well, Watford probably got a worse running on Saturday. But I mean, in terms of performance,
but they had more possession.
True, they did. That's even worse to say though, isn't it? But, I mean...
Maybe they didn't take like the possession tally off and then like the kitman took the ball home or something.
I just think it's worse because how I felt going into the game. You're saying Carroll's on the bench, we're at home. We didn't get mugged off Liverpool, we were all right, you know what I mean? Like kind of thing, and I was really expecting some...
That was why we were obviously, had a bit of optimism going into it because following on from that performance we had last week.
I'm concerned that we're 6 games in and to look how disorganised we look in the first half really concerns us, like, moving forward a bit. Second half was great, but... Well, not great, sorry.
When you say disorganised, I still think...
Better.
I still think the back... the defenders were still somewhat organised. I think the problem was just their game plan just confused the hell out of everybody.
Obviously you weren't here because it was the preview with Sam before there. What's your thoughts on moving forward then? So I've seen some stats before the game that were 20th in terms of possession, 20th in terms of shots on target, league position, 20th in the league in terms of opposition.
We've literally got the worst stats out of everyone.
If every attacking mentality were the worst. So for me, you cannot continue to play that formation. It doesn't work.
Especially when you've had games against like Norwich, Watford, Brighton.
It might
you think you'd be getting some chances there.
And hey, you did. I can't deny that. We finished 10th.
But everybody was harping on about what a great formation it was when we went and beat Spurs.
Aye, but no, sorry, let us repeat something here. I think in situations it's perfect. If you're playing Man City, you're playing Spurs, you're playing Man United, whoever it might be, I think it will work 5 at the back and being hard to beat. Is there a formation that we could change to, though, when you are playing Brighton at home, you are playing Watford at home?
That's the thing, is sometimes you have to go and match what the opposition are doing. And if they're playing 5 people in midfield and you've got 2 in the middle of there, they're 100% going to have more. Of course,
that's key. Midfield's always key.
Overrun here and there.
Has to be.
Another thing that I noticed as well yesterday, a lot of the times when I've watched it previously, we've built it up from the back quite a lot. Remember the Watford game in my mind the most? We tried our best to start it from the back. I'm telling you.
But Brighton didn't let us do that.
Well, maybe not, but... Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know. I felt as if Dubravka was desperate just to shovel them up and get them up front. Joe Linton was not winning a header at all, period. And changed the fucking game.
Though I did think that the referee was a little bit unfair with him, because constantly he had their 2 central defenders all over the top of him.
Yeah, which is...
pushing and pulling them around, coming over. And as soon as he was a little bit physical back, he was going to free kick to Brighton.
Yeah, and none of us have knocked Joe Linton the whole night.
Nah.
And I'm not going to read them.
You could see how frustrated he was in the first half. He was fuming.
He didn't get a kick, but that was not his fault. And again, I've seen people slagging him off, saying he's never going to be a striker. He's never going to make it. But
I don't think anyone would have never said it. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, we've said it in the past about Mitrovic, we've said it about Hoslu and stuff like that. It doesn't matter who you've got up front in situations like that. If you can't get the ball to them and give them opportunities,
I mean, he had one in 90 minutes against Brighton at home.
2. The header.
He had the header, then he had that one from St. Maximin later on.
Yeah,
the header, he should have done.
I'm classing the first. But that one as a chance.
That is, for me, that is down to the midfield, and it's down to Atsu and Almiron not being able to get up along and side him and support him.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. That's why I still believe we've got to change formation. We'll have to change formation. We've got to do something different, because what we've got at the minute, it's not working. I wouldn't say it's not working in terms of, we're not getting hammered every week and we are picking up points here and there, but it's not working.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough in terms of being able to, we're not taking the game to anyone, and that's what worries us, to be honest.
Right, let's call that one the end. Let's just call it the end.
The positive is you haven't lost somehow, and you possibly could have won it, but
wouldn't have deserved it.
I don't ever want to see that first half performance ever again.
Definitely not. Like,
well, I went and watched it again.
Brighton will feel unlucky to come out of that with nothing.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'd be gutted if I was a Brighton fan leaving St James.
Let's not forget though, Brighton beat us at home last season.
They did. But
well, Luke Edwards wasn't allowed to say that on Twitter, I noticed, but yeah. He got absolutely wrong. You're right, it's factual, I agree with you, but they didn't like that response when he said that, But yeah, no, I agree.
It was a horrendous performance, though. Let's not sugarcoat it by last season's results. It was horrendous, but horrendous.
But that's it, people pick and choose, when they want to use last season's stats and previous managers' stats and stuff like that.
I just don't want to go down that route.
I'm not using it as a defence. I'm just.
It's factual, though. It's factual. It is factual. Yeah.
The fact is, we simply were not good enough.
Far from that.
Yeah.
Right.
But I love seeing it.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for loving. We love seeing it. We love seeing it.
I love him, mate. Love him.
Ta-ra. Headbands next week.
I'll wear one.
Gucci, baby.